Let's look at the dramatic rise in gun sales in the U.S. since social distancing with award-winning futurist researcher and keynote speaker Nikolas Badminton, who joins us on Canada Now. And Nick, Americans purchased more guns last month than at any other point since the FBI began collecting data over 20 years ago.
Yeah, 3.7 million background checks, Jeff, and it's people are thinking that they need to go to the next level of action to ensure safety and security in their own homes.
Yeah, and you mentioned that 3.7 million. That is the highest total since the program got started. The background check program got started in '98. That's a 1.1 million increase over March in 2019. On March 21st alone, 210,000 checks were done. That's the largest one-day record ever. FBI data indicates that over 2 million guns were purchased in March alone. Many gun shops can't fill their shelves quickly enough. Is this all about fear? Is this all about social disorders?
You know, this is almost like a spreading of culture as well. Like in America, the right to bear arms, obviously, and is part of the belief system there, and obviously, you know, that people thinking that they can protect their families and food, and everyone's literally trying to get control over a situation that they feel isn't controllable by just washing their hands and staying at home. Human psychology says that do whatever you can to ensure that we've got food and warmth, that we've got the ability to reproduce or look after our families, and we've got shelter. You know, that safety element is already in place. People washing their hands, it doesn't make sense in people's brains. But what does make sense is, you know, protecting what they have, so that if someone tries to take your food or attack your family or attack your liberty even, then maybe owning a gun is a good idea. So culturally, the idea around gun ownership has sort of started a ripple effect, and it's been amplified by this sort of fear that we don't know what's going to come next. Will it be full-on civilian war?
So there would be concern of a breakdown in law and order. There would be kind of the opposite effect, where there's concern of big government infringing on American freedoms. How much does a pending election play into that? We've seen it in the past. After both Obama presidential wins, there was a spike in sales, fearing a crackdown on gun rights. Same goes for Hillary Clinton's rise to the top of the Democratic Party. This also happens after mass shootings. Usually the concern is access to weapons. What do you think about a pending election coming up, and how that might be playing into Americans buying more guns these days?
You know what, Jeff? You just listed trends that indicate that there's likely to be a repeat of that. I would certainly hope that this peak that we felt right now will probably dampen down any further effects when it gets closer to an election, right? So it's difficult to really say. I mean, now what we've got is American homes flooded with these weapons, and that's a real big concern, because there's a number of trends that are showing that, you know, just having a weapon at home is dangerous for a number of reasons. Right,
and there are some things that people should consider before running out and buying a gun. That a gun is more likely to be stolen than used in self-defense. Unsecured guns in the home create risks of unintentional shootings by children. Guns are the most lethal means of suicide attempts, and obviously everybody is really anxious right now and really upset. And guns in the home increase the risks to victims of domestic and family violence. But, you know, maybe what's going on around the world, Nick, is amplifying all of this, the concerns that Americans might have if they're paying this close attention. Maybe I'm giving more credit than is deserved here with some people, but many say that Italy is our future, and right now their unemployment rate has skyrocketed given the COVID-19 crisis. Many do not qualify for government support, and there's now more looting. Maybe we're getting a sense of what's going on elsewhere around the world that have gotten hit by COVID-19 earlier. We're kind of seeing what our future might be and reacting to it.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you look at these different countries. I mean, Wuhan, you know, residents could finally travel on public transport yesterday. There's a lot of rigidity and checking and contact tracing, QR codes being scanned and whatever. Italy is on the flip side. It's a country that's sort of based in and this passion and this free-form society. I mean, how many times has their governments changed in the last 100 years? Look at the way that they actually look at leisure time. It's very different. You know, there's a lot of holiday time. There's a big family dynamic there as well. But there's also a lot of casual hourly labor, and that's caused this issue because there's still the wealthy, but there's a lot of people there that do not have access to money to buy food. And I started to see this trend a couple of weeks ago when they started to deploy police officers in the aisles of supermarkets in Sicily because people were walking in just taking food because they didn't have money. So, you know, we can look to these other countries of indicators of what that future might look like for us. But they're not absolutes because we've got different societies, we've got different ways that we're managing things. And really, yes, whilst we can use these as reference points as we can with America and buying guns and the potential for, you know, a civil breakdown in a way, we should actually be careful and really say, okay, take a deep breath. Look at where we are in Canada and realize what our government is doing, and then think critically about that.
Obviously, there are many differences, gun laws included, between Canada and the U.S., but there are a lot of similarities between the two countries as well and its people. Are you afraid of seeing our country, Canada, take a cue from the U.S. in terms of gun ownership?
Yeah, I sort of looked at the data around this, Jeff, and really we're not really seeing the same kinds of behavior here in Canada in terms of people going out and buying guns. I think a little bit of behavior like that, but nothing substantial per se. But in terms of, you know, being locked up and feeling, you know, really, really sort of desperate in a way and lacking control is going to psychologically affect people, you know, differently. I think it's in the home where it's going to get really tough between people. I mean, as we know, you know, I'm living with a couple of people right now, and you know, tensions are fraught, and it's natural because we're not getting out and we're not giving ourselves the psychological space. So I think it's the in-home sort of behaviors that we should be watching around the world because, you know, we're all human. We all act in similar ways. You know, we do want that freedom. We want that fresh air. And when we're sort of cooped up with a lot of people that we're not used to being cooped up with for such a long period of time, there's going to be psychological effects that are going to kick in. And that's where it's most concerning to me with regards to, you know, the purchase of guns down in the States, because suddenly more homes than ever are going to have guns. And, you know, what happens when humans get desperate?
Check out NikolasBadminton.com. Futurist researcher, keynote speaker, Nick Badminton. Nick, appreciate this as always, pal. Thank you. We'll talk again next week.
Thanks, Jeff. Take care.
All right. Thank you. You too.